Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Upkick MMA episode 290. I am Brener. UFC Fight Night, Sean Strickland versus Abus Magomedov prelims. All right, this is going to be the Kevin Lee Rinat Fakhretdinov fight. We're going to be taking care of all of the fights round by round on the prelims here. If you're looking for the main card, the main event, that's in the last video. If you are going to stick around for this one, I appreciate you subscribe to the channel. That way you'll know when the next video is coming out. I'm putting out 2 or 3 videos every single week breaking down fights. I'm also doing the Ultimate Fighter series. So if you're into that stuff, subscribe. All right, let's talk about the glorious comeback of Kevin Lee. I feel bad for the dude, just for a lot of reasons, right? He had difficulties in his personal life, out of his control, right? His coach passing away, messing up like his whole thing. And, he was doing the Conor McGregor thing for a little bit, trying to be the next big thing at lightweight. And he went up a weight class and he missed weight and he went on a tear. He's just been all over the place. But if you look, because, when he came in, he had the loss to Ally Quinta, which he lost again to him. But, Michael Praceres, that was a really good win. Early in his career in the UFC back in 2015, losing to Leonardo Santos, and then Efron Escudero, Jake Matthews, Magomed Mustafayev, Francisco Trinaldo, great win, Michael Chiesa, dominant win, early stoppage, but a dominant win nonetheless, and then a loss to Tony Ferguson for that interim belt. Now, that stunk because he was doing decent, but he just kind of gassed out, and obviously he had the staph infection, so that wasn't great. And then he has the win versus Edson Barboza, and he looks great again. I mean, he did the stanky leg there for a little bit because Barboza connected on him, but he used his wrestling and he did a good job. And then he loses to Ally Quinta, RDA, then beats Gregor Gillespie in one of the greatest head kick knockout KOs ever, and then goes down to freaking Brazil and loses to Oliveira in dramatic fashion, loses to Daniel Rodriguez in a not close fight at all, and now getting knocked out by Rinat Fakhretdinov. Yes, he did get choked out, but he was knocked out from that. So they both were standing, landing some hard shots, some jabs. I went through his history because there's not a lot to break down in the fight. Fakhretdinov landed a hard right hand that put Lee on the ground, and then he went for a guillotine. Lee did not tap, and Herb Dean had to go in there and check to make sure. It was an awkward position because he was in on I think it was a single leg, so his arms were trapped underneath the legs, so they couldn't fall and dangle. So there was no indication that he went out, but he went unconscious. So as you saw in the thumbnail, he was laying there for a little bit. That was a great win for Fakhretdinov. Horrible for Kevin Lee to come back. He was one of the highest paid guys on the card, though, so don't feel too bad for him for that, though. Hopefully he gets his shit together and we can see. Joanderson Brito versus Westin Wilson. Brito just was he was just going for it, man. Brito with the pressure, throwing everything in every kick and every hook. The dude was just going ham. Everything he could. He's just whap, whap, everything. He landed a hard right hand, and he shook Wilson for a second. Brito got the takedown. Then Wilson was in on a heel hook. Brito grabbed the cage multiple times. Not necessarily defending the heel hook, but he grabbed the cage multiple times. And then, Chris Tognoni had to go in there and smack his hand away, which was not, I don't know how that's okay, but whatever. And then Wilson now going for the knee bar, taking a ton of damage, and then, then he goes out. So this just goes to show you, he outstruck him 22-4 before he got that TKO finish. It just goes to show you, if you have an opportunity to grab the fence to cheat, just go for it. I mean, what are the consequences? Someone slaps your hand, he still won the fight. No one's going to give a shit. He cheated. I mean, people are doing it all the time. I don't see consequences enough for it. Just if you are a fighter watching this, it does not pay to be a morally upstanding fighter. It doesn't. It pays to cheat because now this guy gets double his money. It's the way it works. Yana Santos taking on Karol Rosa. This fight was not good. It's very similar to the main card fight with Lipski and Gatto. Santos using a ton of volume and Rosa, landing the bigger shots. I thought it was different than that one, but we'll get into it. I can't believe there was a discussion in this one. The commentary was bad too about Rosa winning that first round. I don't know how that's possible. So they met in the middle. Santos lands some knees in the clinch and elbows in the clinch. Nothing big though. Santos was getting the clinch and keeping her against the cage, landing knees. Santos landed a left kick to the body. Even at the end of the combo, she was landing that kick. I don't feel like Rosa really landed anything. If you look at the striking numbers here, 33-12 in favor of Santos. 2 minutes and 19 seconds of control time, mostly against the cage, but that all adds up, and clearly a 10-9 round for here. There's no argument that can be made that Rosa did anything with those 12 shots that won her this round. Second round here, Rosa moves in with the strikes, landing a nice 1-2. But she keeps overextending and ends up in the clinch. Santos was staying active and circling on the outside. They went 1-for-1 when they kick, but Rosa is just not active enough. Santos was more active. She had her controlled in the clinch again, 1:34 seconds of that round. She outstruck her 29-20, and nothing, Rosa was throwing bigger shots, but they weren't landing with authority. They didn't put Santos on her ass. They didn't make her back up. Nothing that she was throwing landed with so significant of a thud or with power that made you think that Santos was in danger at any point. So I had Santos up 20-18. I thought it was pretty easy to score up to that point, but the commentary team was all over. They just did not think so. They thought Rosa might have won the first 2 rounds. Last round here, though, Rosa landed a right hand, but she's just not following up with it. Santos was landing the kicks to the body and legs at range, and then Rosa was landing the harder shots. She just wasn't able to end the fight in this round, even with the takedown, and she got some good ground and pound there. She caught up with the significant strikes in this round, 34-33 in favor of Rosa. She landed harder ones. Obviously, her round. Now, looking at the scorecards, let's see how they went here. Saul D'Amato gave the first 2 rounds to Santos. That's correct to me. You know what I mean? That sounds about right. Chris Lee giving the last 2 rounds to Rosa. It's not the worst scorecard. I don't think that second round was as close as the commentary was making it out to be. And same with Ron McCarthy here. Chris Lee has made a lot of stinkers lately. Ron McCarthy, obviously, all the judges have a history of making mistakes. I just feel like those first 2 rounds were pretty easy to score for me. Maybe they weren't seeing it correctly. Maybe Lee and McCarthy were seeing things that clearly didn't land, but they thought they did. So, it all comes down to that. Does it really matter in the long run? A little bit, because now, again, a fighter gets half her pay, and on top of that, nobody's going to look back on that and see a win on her record, even though there should be. Moving on, Guram Kutateladze versus Elves Brener. So Kutateladze stepping up on relatively short notice here. I thought he looked pretty good. I thought he was winning the fight too. So Guram was landing a hard kick to the body, hard hook to the body. Guram landing a hard low kick. Brener got the takedown. He defended against sub attempts, but eventually gets back up and they separate, so he wasn't able to do anything with it. Guram landing low kicks. Brener slips, but Guram goes to engage, and then Brener gets a body lock takedown right again. Guram landed hard elbows in the clinch and followed up with a flurry to end the round. So I had a 10-9 for Kutateladze. You look here, 30-9, not even close. Clearly Kutateladze's round. Second round here, big low kick from Guram, then a great knee that wobbled Brener. Brener fell down, taking his time to stand up, bleeding from an elbow. I hate when fighters do that. I think they should be a point deduction, if not disqualified immediately. If you do not stand up when the referee tells you to stand up, you do not, the fight's over. Brener was putting some rushes in, and Guram was landing some shots at range, looking to counter with elbows. Guram got the sweep and ended up on top. Guram did way more damage early and stayed in there through the rest of the round because Brener was pushing the pace quite a bit, but he did enough to stay out in front 20-18. Last round here, Brener was swinging with the hooks, moving forward, landing some of them. I think the fact that Kutateladze took this fight on relatively short notice really did affect his cardio here and allowed Brener to put the pressure on him. He landed something. Oh, yeah. So he actually headbutted him. It wasn't intentional, but it was a headbutt and then a hook to the side of the head that knocked Kutateladze's balance off and put him down on the ground, and he was feeling like this, so I'm guessing he lost some of the feeling in his fingers. all three judges had first 2 rounds for Kutateladze, so he was on his way to winning that fight. Good job for Brener to step it up and really drive for the finish. He, like I said, that headbutt was not intentional, even though the commentary was real bad. They did not point things out. They seemed to really harp on things that weren't landing. They did not bring their A game. Let's put it that way. Ivana Petrovic versus Luana Carolina. This was another stinker. You guys could skip this one too. Both women throwing kicks early, missing high for both. Carolina landing decent low kicks. Petrovic landing a counter right hand. Petrovic goes, I could write almost everything down because the striking numbers were 10-3 in favor of Carolina. Petrovic used the knee bar attempt to get the sweep with 50 seconds left, but Carolina had more control and landed some good ground and pound this round. Clearly a round for her, 10-9. Carolina landing a knee to the body, some straight punches as she darts in and out. Petrovic in the clinch again, but she loses position a lot and taking some small knees. Petrovic looks tired and Carolina staying loose on the outside. Petrovic got the takedown with 15 seconds left, but she did nothing with it. She was closer in this round for the striking number 16-13, but if you look at the control time, control time was about even. It's just I didn't feel like Petrovic did enough in this round. And then last round here, Carolina output still constant, using the kicks at range. And she's starting to get, they were talking about, oh, she's starting to feel herself. And, oh, she's getting really comfortable. It's not like she was blowing her out. This fight was a stinker. But Carolina she was doing more work. So that's how she got the win. Petrovic was not able to roll under and get on top. She was able to roll under and get on top and goes for a toe hold, with like 40 seconds left in the fight. But it wasn't enough. She got outstruck in this 15-6 yet again. Looking at the scorecards here, all three judges gave the last round to Petrovic. No, they didn't. Tony Weeks gave the second round to Petrovic. Okay, I guess. Ron McCarthy, first 2 rounds of Carolina. Gave the last round. I didn't feel like it was that close. Okay. Anyway, again, that was not a very active fight, so that you kind of run the risk of wacky scorecards when that happens. One judge might look at a punch and be like, "That's the most significant thing I've seen," and that's the end of it. Alexandr Romanov versus Blagoy Ivanov. Oh boy. Alexandr Romanov was just taking his time in this one. It wasn't the most active fight. The last round was more action than the rest of the first two, but very slow start. Romanov looked out of shape, coming in way heavier than he used to. Romanov taking the center of the cage. Neither guy really throwing anything. Not much going on for the first half of the fight. Romanov will land a left hand, and then Ivanov lands a right hook. They trade body shots, but everything's one at a time. There wasn't a lot of action in here. Beautiful 1-2 from Ivanov. It was the nicest strike in this first round. Romanov landed some good low kicks, big left hands from Romanov and another, and then he gets I felt like Romanov took this first round, but not by a lot. And you look at the striking numbers, he kind of bears that out. 17-13 in favor of Romanov, and that's kind of how I saw it. He barely scooted out. He barely squeaked that first round out, 10-9. More action in the second round with Romanov attacking the legs more, using the jab well. Ivanov just not keeping up with the output. You can see that played out here in the total numbers here, 22-9 for the significant strikes in favor of Romanov. Romanov was landing his way into the clinch and gets a trip and then gets on top. Big round from Romanov, getting the ground and pound to end the round, 20-18. So he could just coast in this last round, but he didn't. Romanov back to the leg kicks and the jab. Romanov was keeping the output high, but Ivanov was finding openings to land. So this was the most active round. Romanov was looking more tired, not getting his hands up, but still throwing. And then Romanov ended the fight with a takedown. Another good round for him, outstriking him 46-22 and getting that takedown. So I think he looks good. I would be worried about his cardio going forward in this heavyweight division. That being said, the heavyweight division is pretty scarce. Scarce? What is scarce? Romanov, this was 15 versus 14, with Romanov being ranked number 14. I could see him maybe going up one rank over Chris Daukaus, possibly over Jairzinho. But him versus Derek Lewis might be fun. He's already fought Tybura. Him versus Jalton Almeida is not likely. I don't think they're going to do that because Almeida's on a probably a fast trajectory, the fast path to the title shot. Him versus Sergey Spivak makes sense. But yeah, because for the title right now, like, what are we doing here? Also, Sergey Pavlovich needs this. Having John Jones as your champion in 2023 is not great because he doesn't fight a lot. He's accomplished everything, and they're keeping him around. They're willing to put up with it because of the name, and I just want to see more title fights. And the heavyweight is so scarce as it is. Scarce. It's scarce. All right, that's it, guys. If you guys follow The Ultimate Fighter, I've been putting out weekly videos covering every episode so far. So go ahead and check that out. I'll be covering the PFL playoffs when they come up here in about a month. And then I'll be taking care of, obviously, next weekend, the UFC, the big one, the pay-per-view. I'm excited for that. So subscribe to the channel so you know when those videos are coming out. You'll see them. I usually put them out the day after. It allows me to kind of digest it, and it allows me to go to sleep, right? I can actually sleep after the event and then kind of put my thoughts together about what I saw and look over my notes and then talk about them in a more coherent fashion sometimes. So subscribe to the channel for that. If you like this video, click the like button. I would appreciate that one. And then also, if you guys are done watching my videos for this week, amazing. Love having you here. Love you guys. Have an amazing week.